Good idea, soundtrack.
Soundtrack. And.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Independence City Council meeting. It's Tuesday, September 24th, 2024 at 6:30 in the evening. It's fall. Rains tomorrow. I'll let the record show the councilors are here. Kathleen Martin Willis is on her way. She texted me from the Capitol, so she should be here presently. So we're gonna go. Everybody else is here. Council members, the minutes in the packet, we're going to delay those till the next meeting. There were some potential corrections or things, and we don't want to surprise Karen Johnson, who's not with us this evening. And so we're going to delay that until the next meeting. Before we go too far, the staff presentation, Jason Kistler, he's out ill this evening, so we will not have him. So we're going to go immediately to visitor and public comment. So a couple of things. First of all, we now have a brand new fancy dancy timer. So we can now do it because we want to make sure that we give folks the right amount of time. A little concerned last time that we may have had oops. And so we now have a oops proof. So everybody can see it and it'll go beetle, beetle, beetle or something.
It does kind of do that, that's right.
Okay. Thank you, I appreciate that. So we'll be using that. So for public comment, let me remind folks, this is a one-way communication. This is for the public to talk to us. We're not going to be engaging in a dialogue back and forth, but we're here to listen to what you have to say. You have up to 5 minutes. And I know there are some people who want to speak, and there are some folks that I'll recognize a little bit later who did not wish to speak, but wanted their presence to be noted, and I will so do that at this point. So in no particular order, we're going to just start with Antonia Reyna.
Yes, yeah, I speak for it. She has her delegates with her as well, so we're going to be helping, and we were conscious of the time as well, so we have something scripted that we can turn in this time.
Whoever is coming out, please do so.
Okay.
Good evening and welcome to City Council, and I just want to let Councilor Martin Willis has arrived. And I need to make sure I turn on my microphone. Please, welcome to council. Glad to have you here.
Appreciate it. So first of all, we do want to recognize the City of Independence's critical role in balancing the need for the community and the safety of our residents as well. And we do understand from the last meeting that you have a responsibility to ensure a designated space for the homeless in our community. We did take the opportunity post our last meeting to gather a petition with signatures, and we do have over 200 signatures collected. Over 100 of those were just from the community near Polk Park that were gathered just this week within the last couple of days. We personally, and I do want to thank the neighborhood who's all here. A lot of us literally spent over 6 hours just canvassing that neighborhood and talking to people. And it was really clear that people wanted to talk. Over 100 of the signatures are just from the people in the neighborhood. The other close to 100, we just launched an online petition last night. And just overnight, we have over, like I said, in total, over 200. And as the word is spreading, I am sure that there's a lot of signatures that we'll be seeing in the next 24 hours plus. So with that said, according to the city's own guidelines, Polk Street Park should be excluded from consideration if city parks are disqualified from overnight camping. We believe the city should consider following the lead of other Oregon communities, such as Wilsonville, I believe also Ashland and Medford, who took proactive measures to find a solution that fit the needs of the community and that did not impact residential communities and residential neighborhoods. Specifically Wilsonville, they proactively surveyed the community, got over 400 responses, successfully revised their camping ordinance to offer designated spaces behind City Hall. So they actually have designated car spaces behind City Hall. They have a designated area right next to City Hall where it's safe, it's monitored, and it's outside the residential area. Ashland and Medford as well took similar measures, proactively worked with the community, kept it outside of the residential areas, and allocated spaces within, I believe, their camping sites. They revised their camping policies to ensure that they could provide a safe environment for those who were homeless that was monitored and they can still provide access to resources, and once again, outside of residential areas. So, based on these examples, we believe the Independence can similarly adjust its guidelines for city-owned campgrounds. By waiving the nightly fees and vehicle limitations, the city could create a more accessible camping option and ensure unhoused individuals have safe, regulated areas to stay outside of residential neighborhoods. I think we also brought another example of Bend. Don, you referenced Bend had a similar approach they took. In conclusion, by adopting the approaches similar to other Oregon cities, Independence can provide safe camping options for the unhoused without compromising the safety and well-being of its residents. Collaboration between the city manager and the city council will be crucial in implementing these necessary changes effectively. Anything else? All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Stephanie Vatsilis. Good evening. Welcome to City Council.
Pretty nervous, I am a neighbor in that area of that neighborhood, I was pretty blown away when I had to find out myself that this was done, on my own, made me question a lot of things, I feel like it's something every topic of talking about. I spent, hours with these two lovely ladies, canvassing the area, reaching out, talking to all these people, we have a lot of children in that neighborhood. I didn't realize how much more we had until I actually canvassed the neighborhood more and talked to all the neighbors. I have children of my own. I feel like this is kind of like a, like a hard hit on some of us. Some of the people that have purchases of all these new houses that are being built, like one down the street, they're not being aware of this. I really care about my neighborhood. Sorry, I'm super nervous.
It's okay.
I just want it to be heard, That'll be it for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Lisa Sloopner. And on behalf of Antonio Ria,
Oh, we already went.
we already did, okay, thank you, I didn't want to misstep there, okay? Kenneth Early. Good evening, welcome to council.
Thank you. I'm kind of new to this myself. I just moved back here from Salem to escape the homeless crisis that's going on over there. I may not say some things that are very popular here, but if you put in 100 beds, you're gonna have 500 of them with tents and tarps waiting to get in. You're gonna be overrun with heroin and the other, what is the one that kills them all? Fentanyl. I've come across syringes of parks that were designated for 3 to 5-year-olds in Salem. The police are gonna be inundated with the theft that's gonna go on around here. You can put them in a little camp if you want, but they're not gonna stay there. They're gonna go to your stores, they're gonna steal stuff every day, because unless they're stealing over $500, all they're gonna do is get a ticket. And then they're gonna have to show up to court, which they're not gonna, and then they're gonna have an arrest warrant. And nobody's gonna put them in a jail because there's no room for them. These aren't people that are homeless with families that come across some bad luck. These are drug addicted criminals that are coming into your facility and they know the law better than the rest of the people here. It's horrific, but what they do to small businesses, they crush them. There's gonna be overdoses in your parks and your playgrounds. The emergency systems are gonna be tied up like crazy. No matter how big a check the state writes, it's gonna be too little. And after a year, when you realize you made the biggest mistake of your life, it's gonna be way too late because you can't get rid of them at that point. I feel sorry for them, but they need to put the money into mental health. They need to put it into drug prevention. They need to do other things than try and house them here because you're not making them not homeless. You're just taking them out of Salem. And this little community can't handle it. You don't even have any idea the damage that they will do when they get here. And then you're stuck with them. There's no way around it. I mean, I could go on all night about this. I've been kept up at night since I heard that this was even a proposal, but whatever bribe money the state offers you, it's not enough, believe me. It's horrible what's happening in Salem. walk down Salem, talk to any of the small businesses in Salem, see how they like it. It's horrible, they're going out of business and it's gonna just create crime here, horrible crime.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Bill Foster?
Hello,
Welcome to city council.
thank you. I personally, I just wanted to speak and say, I'm against it. And I know it's a difficult situation. And, yeah, I grew up in this community and it just, I'm not the only person. It just, I'm uncomfortable with it. And I just wanted to share that. As well as I could, I was looking up city ordinances and trying to figure out, what's going on here. I found out some stuff, the city manager can do a lot of, as far as approving things like this to pass, I guess, but reading through the city ordinances, if there's no ordinance that has changed, well, I didn't see any changes that were posted publicly through the city of Independence regarding the ordinances of the parks. There's several things that need to be changed before you're not breaking an ordinance to allow this to happen. One other thing that I came across is I found out all this stuff on social media, heard all the upset people on social media, how it's unfair, they weren't informed, I just think it'd be a real good idea, maybe get a big ass reader board out here, so people can see. And, I don't think, the internet's not for everybody, and not everybody finds what they're looking for there, and I don't know, I just thought a reader board was a good suggestion. But that's about it. The code of ordinance I was looking at was section 26-374, park operating policies. And there's quite a few there, and I'm not gonna go into that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, appreciate you taking the time. Cynthia Goen? Good evening and welcome to city council.
Thank you very much, and thank you to my fellow Panthers. I see a lot of fellow Panthers here today, so I can see everybody come out. I last week heard about, well, this is right behind my house. It came up out of nowhere. It was very disturbing because again, like they were saying, we weren't informed. Again, not all of us are on social media all of the time. I'm the old school that, again, I read the newspaper and such. But I just wanted to bring up a few points, like you were saying about different laws. It keeps getting referenced over and over again about law providing that local laws regulate, and it goes on and on. I believe that's in reference to House Bill 3115 that was signed and drafted by Tina Kotek. But you have to remember that was at the beginning of COVID. There was a lot going on, distancing, there's a lot of uncertainty. So cities were allowed to turn over certain areas because of this bill. But with the Grants Pass ruling, which again, people were saying that doesn't apply to us, the Ninth Court of Appeals governs 8 states. And in fact, Governor Newsom just signed an executive order to overturn the camp and is trying to clear out the camps because of all the issues that they developed because of bringing in the homeless population. It was intended to help, but it did not help, as you stated. Sorry, I do have the notes again. And also with that, our local representative, Paula Evans, other representatives, both Democratic and Republican, so it's a bipartisan product, proposal that because of the new state Supreme Court ruling, that they are now drafting a letter to keep Tina Kotek, who drafted and wrote the bill into law, that she is looking into overturning this when she gets the information from our lawmakers. So it seems kind of saddening, or I guess upsetting, that we're talking about all these things based upon a few years old law that within a couple of months is most likely going to be overturned. It just seems like so many residents, the kids, the community is up in arms for something that probably within honestly a couple of months is no longer going to be valid. And talking about being sued, I read in the newspaper again that we were afraid of being sued because of what we could do if we didn't allow this to happen. Again, with that Supreme Court ruling, the Boise, Idaho case that was referenced is now looking into being overturned. And my final thought is, yes, there are Rugged Pay Station, different families, but this one's really difficult for me to read, and I have a family here, and it's hard for me to read this in front of them. Again, I'm sorry I had to share this. It's my mom, my family moved here in 1946. My mom and I and my brother and my dad moved back after Dad got out of the service, and I believe it was 76, so we've been here a long time. And my mom has given so much to the city. You may not know her name, Darlene Bowen, but she's helped with the Master Gardener. She gives to the food bank, she gives to the school, she gives to FFA, she does all of these things. And she just shared with me because of what's going on. She never shared this before. She's not emotional, but she broke down because as a little girl, she had to live in a working camp. They had the porta potty, which was just put in here, but by the way, it was padlocked. I saw it recently, it was padlocked. Mom, grandma, and my aunts and uncles had to live in a little working camp when they were little kids. And there is a porta potty, but mom broke down and said that they had to use a coffee can to use the restroom because they were so afraid to go outside and go to the porta potty because sexual predators hung out by the porta potties waiting for the little kids. So the things my mom, my uncle, and my aunt went through should never have to be gone through by our residents of this town. We are an amazing town. We've always been the greatest little city. And it's just saddening that we're having a levy to talk about parks and closing parks. This is a park, so if we can't fund our current things and trying to get a levy to pass, why are we gonna spend extra money on, I don't know if we're gonna even have the funds to do this if we can't keep our parks open, our museum open, and our library open. These are all crucial for our amazing city, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Wendell Bear, did I get that right?
It's Lindy.
Lindy, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Cindy Barr.
Thank you, appreciate it. Good evening, welcome to City Council.
Thank you. I live in the community of Holt Park. I do understand that the council, has to abide by, state law, to follow state law, so I get that. And I know that, due to that, we need to find a place for the homeless to be able to lay down and sleep. I would implore the city council and the city to please look at other ways to do this outside of having it in a residential area. I don't think that this kind of camp should be in a residential area. It shouldn't be where one of my neighbors has to look through her cyclone fence and that there's people can't ride on the other side of her fence. There has to be other options and independence to comply with the law. I also have to say that I was really saddened to not know anything about this and the fact that I live in the neighborhood. And I had to find out about it on social media. I feel that this should have been advertised and this was talked about at city council widely. So the neighborhood had a chance to come and speak and view their viewpoints. I just really encourage you to please find another way to do it and not have it in a residential area. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
So Mayor McCardle, City Council, thanks for letting us speak. I think the residents of the neighborhood said a lot. I want to talk a little bit about the importance of outreach and communication. I also want to spend a little time thanking our staff. I think our staff do amazing work for the limited resources that they have. And I think that everyone in this community owes a debt of gratitude to the staff of the City of Independence for their hard work. I also think we need to center this conversation in compassion and understand that these are human beings we're talking about and push back against people attempting to divide our community using leverage issues to try to scare people into saying and other people. That being said, I completely agree with many of the speakers here that we should reconsider. We should do everything in our power to look at all the options on the table And we should work with the neighbors and the community to find a better solution. A solution that's centered in data, centered in empathy and compassion for our neighbors who are down on their luck, and centered on communities that have historically been ignored by our city, our county, our state. And I think we should take this as a whole community as a lesson learned and grow with each other to figure out how can we do this better in the future. So thank you. Thank you to Hannah and our staff for all the work they do every day. And I just hope that you hear the visitors here, the residents, and that we can work together to find a better solution. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
I also have a number of people who wanted to just let it be known that they were here. They don't need to speak, but they just want their interest noted. So it's Lori Roden, Terry Avalance, Jason Stiles, Eva Bickford, somebody who lives on Long Cabin Street. They didn't put a name down, but I have an email address and a real address, so we know where it is. I don't give out everybody's address here. And then David Barrett. And so we have all those. Thank you for taking the time to come and share with us this evening.
Mayor, can I say something?
Okay,
Just because I reviewed, what Terry Albert sent to me earlier, I did look in the back parking lot here, and there is actually a nice green space in the back parking lot. There's trees in the back parking lot. There is a picnic bench in the back parking lot. I think it would be great if we could put it on city staff to research, maybe designating a few of the parking spaces right behind this building. It would provide a safe, comfortable location for people that have to camp to be able to camp. We could use the same guidelines that Wilsonville and Bend, Astoria have used. I brought copies of it and I will distribute it to everybody on city council, but that just seems like a very compassionate way to look at this crisis and still provide an opportunity for people to, if we have to provide a camping spot, this would be a great place to have it. We already have in place surveillance on the site, so it just seems like a perfect location.
thank you. Okay, moving forward in our agenda here, I have my report, so I have a bunch of things to talk about tonight. So it's been a busy couple of weeks, council members. So I was honored recently to be the officiant at Nancy Lodge's memorial service and gathering that took place. There were wonderful stories about a wonderful lady who made such a difference in our community. Had the opportunity to attend the second community strategy session focused on multi-organizations meeting our community's needs. And as many of you know, I'm past president of the Oregon Mayors Association, and so I just served on the nominating committee. Now, something I want you folks to know about is that many of us, well, I serve on the Micklelamet Valley Council of Governments legislative committee, and we met with the legislative director from the League of Oregon Cities talking about legislative priorities. And if council remembers, you submitted legislative priorities. Well, as of the time has not finished yet, but so far over at least 107 cities have responded so far. And the major issues that cities have identified are infrastructure funding, recreational immunity, a transportation package, full funding for housing updates, and lodging tax flexibility. Also, there, as has been already mentioned, there are cities and legislators who are already in discussions about dealing with the grants pass case. Everyone's trying to figure it out because, as you know, while the Supreme Court overruled the Ninth Circuit Court, Oregon still has statute on the books that have codified what was previously in place. So legislators and cities around the state are trying to figure this out. We also had some conversations. Well, not we, but there have been conversations in a lot of cities around the state are regarding property tax reform. 30% of Oregon cities already are doing service cuts. And next year, they expect 50% of cities in the state will be doing service cuts. Communities statewide are having discussions about what services people want. We also had a little bit of a conversation about ballot measure 118. There are lots of concerns about the unintended consequences and the budget impacts that are gonna happen. That's the one where they raise taxes on certain businesses and also then every person will get some $1,200. And there's some real budget implications.
Mayor, is that the corporate tax?
Yeah, that was on that corporate. Also had the opportunity to attend the gratuity barbecue and the Hop and Heritage Festival. My family took some friends, well, not friends, but family. I guess they can be friends and family. And but we had some folks from the Midwest here and they enjoyed the Hop and Heritage Festival. And also had a chance to attend the SEDCOR annual awards meeting, which took place in Salem. And I was privileged to be recognized, but what that recognition really was is for what we as a city have done, our partnerships with business and the community success. So it has been a busy 2 weeks since last I saw you. With that, we have council liaison reports. Councilor Schwartzer, you have a couple, then followed by Councilor Joe.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to start first with the Minnet report. So the last report I gave was on May 28th, and we have met once, the other one. So the last meeting was July 24th, and we started with very good news. Income has been up, expenses have been down, which equal a solid end to the fiscal year, which is great news. They did note that the connections have been down, which is expected because students leave town in July, but that they'll rebound when students go back in, which happens to be Sunday. Freshmen were moving into the dorm, so they expect those connections to be back in place. The expansion to South Dallas and Rick Real are still going well. The high school at Falls City is going to be connected, probably at this point it will be connected, it has been connected, which is bringing a much needed service to the community. And residential service is expected to follow, and they have already had people pre-signed for their service. The June debt service payment went out, and payments are projected to be met on time and in full in the future. And they did host their luau on August 29th. They got to show off in the parking lot of Knox. The next minor meeting is actually tonight. The parks update, two meetings, one in July 18th. Gail Overs brought forward a possible memorial dedication to her husband, Michael Carnes. They're working on gathering additional information, options, and funding. And Chair Jay has been appointed to be the liaison for their group. An update on Sunset Meadows Park was provided. Please note that the park is now nearing completion. And a tentative date for the ribbon cutting is October 29th, although it's a change. If there are delays, so watch for additional information as we get closer to that date. They had a great volunteer planting day at the park. It was really fun to see the community come out, especially the students that gave a huge help. The football team came out and it was really good help because that ground was extremely, so we're thankful for that. The Parks Master Plan kickoff also took place at the July meeting. The project team was there. The written reviews, the scope of the project was reviewed, including the timeline and key milestones. Project is underway, and the Parks Board will continue to receive updates and work with the staff and consultants on the project. And then the August 15th meeting, there was an update on the status of the lower life jacket station. Graphics and insurer and attorney approved language was reviewed by the board. There was also an update on the Riverview pump station and the odors that people have noticed. It's noted that the public works crew has cleaned the sewer pump station, and that hopefully will resolve the issue. There were questions regarding the mural north of the Elks Lodge here on Main Street. And it was just noted that the mural is privately owned and does not come within the city's purview. And because of scheduling conflicts, the next meeting of the Parks Board will be in January.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Joe, the Independence Days.
Mine was very short. We haven't had any meetings. They've been canceled because, 4th of July is over. and We've already had our updates, here at City Council.
Great, thank you. Moving into our city manager, Ms. West.
Thank you, Mayor.
So first, you might notice we have a different face, in different quarters here. Karen is unavailable. Amanda, who's normally our second, is unavailable. Giselle, who would be our third, is unavailable, and Jason, who would be our fourth, is ill. And Myra has never done this before, so thank you, Myra, for staying and helping us, who can do it without you. As you know, we instituted community talks, and it's a monthly opportunity for the community to come chat with me about their concerns, their compliments, whatever's on their mind. No agenda, just what is going on. It's the second Thursday of the month, and the first community talks was September 12th. And because of timing, we didn't get the notifications pushed out. And so I took my laptop thinking, well, nobody's gonna show up because we didn't get it out soon enough. And I was really pleasantly surprised. We had 3 folks in the morning, we had 3 different folks, well, we had a family and then 2 individuals in the evening. A number of different topics came up, and I have had follow-up conversations with a couple of folks, and I have a meeting set up with a couple of folks. You know, I was a little worried, but it was a lot of fun, and it was incredible to spend time with our community. The feedback was very, very positive, so we'll keep doing it. The next community talks is October 10th. We do them 9 to 10 in the morning at Brew, and we do them 6 to 7 at the Golden Hawk. So come chat with me. I'm learning even more about this great community, and it's been a lot of fun. I will follow up on the council reports that I was talking about, Sunset Meadows Park. The crews are installing the last of the equipment, and our public works crews are working on installing the trees, which you remember we got as a grant from Pacific Power. And then our crews will install tables, bike racks, garbage cans, and the donation sign. Maybe next week, we're hoping, and we are extending the schedule for October 29th. I don't have the time yet, but just know that that will be the grand reopening of that park. We're super excited, and I'm excited to cast the show. So thanks again, Evan, for making sure that we got the football team. That ground was really, really hard, and couldn't have done without it. And the mayor's pickaxe. Those were 2 things that got us through. So. I want to offer a congratulations to Officer Thomas Fleming, who was chosen as our next detective sergeant. And beginning October 1st, he will become Detective Fleming, or Sergeant Fleming, excuse me. So we're pretty excited by that. And also talking about our police department. You know, they're often put in dangerous situations. And, you know, even in our town, that happens. They're first responders. And almost every one of our officers have a family. And estate planning is incredibly important for our responders, because if the worst happens, when we lose one in line of duty, they're gonna leave behind a family. Our police department was contacted by an incredible attorney, Rebecca Kinney, and she created Wills for Heroes. And that is a free service to our first responders for basic wills. So that if the worst has happened, their families will be protected as much as possible. I met Rebecca, she's an incredible human being. And this is just an absolutely great program. You know, as attorneys, we do a lot of pro bono, free work. It's how we get back to society. And she is an asset. We're really excited by this. We're really excited for the support for our first responders. On to kind of fun things. Starting today at the museum, the Oregon Historical Society visiting exhibit, Francis Stillwell, Oregon's Botanical Landscape, opens. It is open through November 30th, 2024. It looks really interesting. Go take a look at it, check it out. We're really lucky to have such a nice little museum. And then a couple of other pieces of good news. We were really successful and we received another grant. We received $5,000 from the Pacific War Foundation for the Independence Library e-bike book bike.
And it will be used for outreach and potentially get books to homebound folks. In my prior city, we received a grant for a traditional bike. And the community absolutely loved it. We were able to get books out to homebound people. Kids loved it. It brought people into the library. And I'm really hopeful that our community will love this as much as my other community did. Then we also received a grant for the purchase of laptop computers to run the Youth Coding Week. And that's one of my favorite programs. Youth Coding is incredible. Again, thank you, Councilor Schwartzler. She got this program up and running here in Independence. Spirit Mountain Casino funded $7,500 for laptops for our kids. And speaking of the Youth Coding League, it's off and running. The scores for the first sprint went live on September 20th. We have 17 coders this time around, which is incredible. And that's just for the 5th and 6th grade team. And then 6 signed up for the 7th and 8th grade team. And I think that's all the good news that I have. Just a reminder that Saturday, this is good news. Saturday, October 5th is the Ghost Walk. And that will be 7 to 9 downtown. And I'm sure Councilor Martin will talk about that a little bit when it's council time. And I have nothing else, council, unless you have questions.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Moody, I think it's to you. Under new business.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. And we're here tonight with a supplemental budget for the 2024-25 fiscal year, we're currently in. It's a quick and easy one. We received a grant from the U.S. Department of Transportation through their Thriving Communities program. And the money will help fund aspects of the Central Talmadge project. So what we need to do is a supplemental budget to recognize the grant and give appropriations authority in order to spend the money. Because it doesn't change the grants fund by more than 10%. We were able to do this without a public hearing this evening under Oregon budget law. Very simply, it increases federal grants revenue in the grants fund by $90,000 and increases capital projects expenditures in the grants fund by $90,000.
Questions from the presenter?
Yes.
So what requirements does the city have by taking this grant? So in the past, we've taken grants and then I didn't agree with what they were applied to. Anyway, what are our requirements? Do we have to use certain people, to do the work?
Because it's a federal grant, if we're going to do any purchasing or procurement or hire any professional services, we'd have to abide by, procurement requirements that competitive purchasing types of requirements. But other than that, I'm not aware of any restrictions or requirements. Now, I'm not really super, well-read in the programmatic terms of this grant, and Sean's not here this evening, so, but if you have questions about, certain aspects of the programmatic piece, I'd be happy to try and get those answered for you.
Question?
Sorry, I'm just.
Mayor, I can fill in just a little bit, again, I'm very,
Microphone out.
Yeah. Is that better? There. Thank you, Mayor. I can fill in just a little bit. Again, I carry a lot of projects in my head, so I don't know them all as well as my department head would. This, I think, Councilor Joe, what you're referring to are some of the ODOT grants where we have to work with a certain consultant. This is a sub-award of the award we've already received from the United States Department of Transportation for Central Talmadge. So those things that are in place for Central Talmadge are in place for this. So we're not going to be required to use ODOT consultants. It's going to be exactly what you've seen for Central Talmadge, those same requirements, because it is a sub-award of that grant. Does that help?
It does.
Thank you. Councilor Roden, you have questions?
So my question is, because we've already spent money on this already and we used a company from Portland who came down to tell us that Monmouth Avenue was busy. We could have told them that without them driving down, and that is a busy street. do we have to give this money to that company again, because they've already designed this whole. The whole townage plan, is it the same?
My understanding is that this grant addresses wetlands delineation and some environmental work related to central townage. Beyond that, that's the information I have. Again, I apologize, I'm just supposed to get the money so we can spend it.
City Manager West.
Yeah, I'll clarify. All of the activities that have gone on for central townage were paid by grant funding. So the city hasn't put any dollars in, just staff time. And this is environmental. It's a look at, what can be done with some of that property, for next steps. And again, it's grant funding, so there will be no city dollars included in that.
Thank you.
One more question, I'm sorry. This land that we're doing the environmental study on is not owned by the city, it's privately owned property, is that correct?
I'm afraid I don't recall which land it is, Counselor. Again, I don't know all the details of the project. There's just, so many going on.
Thank you. Additional questions? So it's in and it's out. Okay, doesn't change ending numbers. This is an action item. Go ahead.
Just to clarify, when we accept this grant, we spend it for what the grant was given for. We can't use that money for something else.
That's correct, Counselor.
Based on that, I move that the council approve the attached resolution 24-1617, amending the fiscal 24-25 adopted budget.
I have a motion seconded by Martin Willett. Is there further discussion?
I have something to say. We always say we have this grant, this little tiny, it really is a little tiny bit of grant money to start this huge project, and then we get ourselves sucked into a project that we don't know how to pay for. And I've had concerns with this in the past because it's private property that we would have to take over in order to do this project. So my concerns are still here. I don't think we should do this. I think because we got it underneath the grant threshold, so we didn't have to hold a public hearing, I think we should hold a public hearing anytime we do something like this in our community, we should hold a public hearing. So for those reasons, I voted no.
I would also, and everybody know about this too, I do think it is public or private land, not city owned. And going in and, doing the wetland or whatever engineering you're against it for. I don't know where those property owners stand, and I don't really want to start this all over.
Councilor Schwartzler.
I just want to state that again, by accepting this grant money, we are not committing to any future spending on this project that we don't have budgeted or that we don't have income for. So there are stopgaps in place, there are limits in place, we have to follow the scope of work that is included with this grant funding. Even if we are looking at potential impacts on private land, is not obligating that landowner to do anything with it. We are simply trying to look at a vision for the future and what is possible for the future and understanding what some of the environmental impacts are out there as we are looking at this overall comprehensive study.
Councilor Martin Willis.
Well, I'd just like to add, as Councilor Schwarzler points out, if there are private property owners involved, this could in fact benefit them in that they would then know what they could or could not do with that property down the road in the future. And we would know what we could or could not do with that space as well. So I would be this.
Councilor Morton.
And I sat on this committee for quite a while when the Central Townage project was begun. And the impetus behind it is keeping kids safe as they travel from one side of Monmouth Avenue or Monmouth Street to the other. And that was what inspired the project to begin with. And yes, it's gotten a bigger scope to it, but the scope is only going to be undertaken as there are funds to pay for it. And this council has the right to say yay or nay at every expenditure.
Okay, and I'll add that this benefits us, benefits landowners. It gives us a chance to explore with what is possible and what is not, because there's lots of land use rules. And on what you can and can't do, and, some of that stuff doesn't change, and whether, land is used now or later. So, we have a motion, we've had discussion, and all in favor of passing the motion, signify by saying aye, and those opposed. So that's Roden and, Joe in opposition, motion carries, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we have a liquor license to do. That's a happy smile.
Yes, oh, sorry.
Good evening. Yeah, the smile is, I always feel like the placement of me coming here for liquor licenses is a little awkward. So, it's also strange to be in the courtroom, and not state my full name and spell my last. For those of you who don't know me, those of you online, my name is Dallas Colma, one of the sergeants here at Independence PD. And yes, I'm discussing a liquor license. Pacific Northwest Distilling, which would be located at 915 North Main Street, suite number 40, has made an application with the City of Independence with OLCC for a distillery license, which would permit them to distill liquor on premises. This location is at 915 North Main Street. That's owned by Independence Beverages LLC, and both Divine Distillers and Rossetto Distilling in suite number 20 are currently operating out of this location. Matt Davidson, he's the registered agent of Pacific Northwest Distilling, and a partial investor in Shine Spirits, which would be renting a section of 915 North Main Street, suite number 40 there, to produce Shine vodka on site. Background checks were conducted both on Matt Davidson and Pacific Northwest Distilling, and we didn't locate anything that would preclude them from licensure. So with no financial or fiscal impact, and nothing that would be considered a disqualifier, we recommend approval for this establishment.
Questions from the presenter,
I do.
please do.
Do you happen to know, Sergeant Cole, how much more capacity in that building and how many more liquor licenses could we be looking at?
That I'm unsure of, yeah, I wish I had an answer for that.
I know it's a pretty big building.
I
Councilor Moore.
had a question about that too. I understand there's already at least 1 or 2 active liquor licenses connected to that particular property.
Correct, there would
Are
be 2 there.
does this constitute a 3rd separate business?
Correct,
So there would be 3 businesses all in the sale of alcohol or the distillation of alcohol operating on that same premises.
that is correct.
And the police are comfortable with that?
We haven't had anything that's come up in our annual reviews. No concerns thus far with our backgrounds in those businesses. And again, this is production. There's not some sales coming out of that location specifically.
So that was what you had in the application, what was in the application, of course, this is the manufacturing operation.
Correct.
Thank you, additional questions? Without any questions, if someone would make a motion.
I
please.
recommend the approval of the distillery license application for Pacific Northwest Distilling LLC. Second.
I have a motion second by Joe, discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, motion carries, thank you very much, council announcements.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll start over there, because I know Maryland's got one.
I am working once again with the Senior Center and AARP Oregon and our grant writer. Thank you, City Manager West, for that offer. To convene a focus group to look at the needs of seniors in our community and formulate an action plan that we hope will be able to inform city planning. So hopefully we'll have something in a couple weeks.
Thank you. Council Morgan.
And I'm just going to remind everyone that the 5th of October is the Independence Ghost Walk. It starts at 7 o'clock. This will be the 22nd year that this event is presented. It is free. There is an add-on this year from 4 to 6 p.m. We're doing an extra tour called Apparition Avenue. That's because we start having people coming into town by 4 o'clock. wanting to line up for the ghost walk, which doesn't start for 3 hours. So we wanted to, A, give them something to do in the interim period of time. And B, when they've done the first thing, then they can go visit our businesses and have local meals and libations and then come to the ghost walk.
Thank you. Additional, please.
Just one other thing, Counselor. Or, if I'm saying it correctly, Counselor Core and I have worked with, the Polk County Commissioners, and I think her and I can work together to be a force to be reckoned with to try to get a little bit of highway safety on Highway 51 and 22. So I know she put her voice and effort forward on it. I'm willing to do the same, and if it saves lives, then may anybody stand against us when we work together like this. I think it could be an exciting project that her and I's voices could amplify, hopefully save lives.
I'm gonna build on your comments if I might. At the next council meeting, we're gonna have a public hearing. We've invited, emergency responders, ODOT, county, economic development, a whole host of folks to talk about the importance of 22 and 51. And, we're doing what we can as a city to, convince, decision makers that are not us to deal with that issue, because as I mentioned last time, I know personally, I'm not willing to wait another 15 to 30 years. And so that will be a major focus, we'll have a big public hearing on that on our next council meeting.
And then we can send that tape to our federal partners.
We will twist and turn every screw we can.
I'd like to add one thing to that subject. And that is, consider inviting one of the counselors from our sister city over.
Have
Who
done,
happened to witness that latest accident.
right, have done, so Counselor Schwartzler.
Yes, I want to announce an event, a new event from Washington Valley, which is in coordination with SEDCOR. We are doing a coffee club meetup for startup and small business owners, and the first one will be this Thursday at 8 AM. We will provide coffee. It will be hosted at Indy Commons, and then it will, again, it will be done monthly, and this is by Washington Valley, and so it's a good opportunity for business owners to network with each other and get connected with resources and the
Great, thank you. Somebody say the word adjourn?
Well, I have one
Oh, please
final
do.
comment, because you sometimes tend to downplay things. So I too had the opportunity to attend the SEDCOR Awards ceremony. And our mayor, of course, spread so much credit. My take on that award was that it was provided to Mayor John McCardle for decades of exemplary service, not just to the city of Independence, but to Polk County, to other regions in the state that has worked with League of Working Cities, Association of Counties, blah, 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 all those things that he gives us reports on. So Mayor McCardle, on behalf of myself, and I'm sure the rest of the council, thank you for the exemplary job that you have done.
And adjourn.
It does take a team.